Hi, it's Michael back from Corona POS. Starting a gardening center business may not jump out at you as a business that's going to bring a windfall, but the statistics regarding the evolution of the garden retail sector tend to say otherwise. While the pandemic has caused many businesses to suffer significant losses, the gardening industry has exploded. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, retail sales of building and gardening materials have increased 8.6% since the spring of 2020 due to the popular home gardening trend. With the pandemic keeping millions of people at home, the idea of having a small garden has become a way to both relax and keep busy. And for many who have adopted the hobby, the desire has seemed to stick. American consumers' renewed interest in home gardening is not solely due to the pandemic either. A look at sales revenue over the past 4 years shows that the trend began before the outbreak of COVID. Average sales revenue for the home gardening industry grew 4.62% in 2018 to almost 8.79% in 2020, nearly doubling. If it's any indication, social media has exploded with passionate amateur gardeners who started Facebook groups and Instagram pages to communicate with other home gardeners and share their botanical experiences. The upward trend in industry growth statistics is reflected in the increased business on social media with a noticeable peak in the last 2 years. So, a retail gardening business is one of the most profitable and in some ways easiest businesses to start in 2022. But the million-dollar question is how exactly to start a gardening business. This video will walk you through the steps to help you successfully launch your garden center business. Before you consider starting a gardening business, it's essential to know what the job requires and what to expect. The success of a gardening business depends mainly on the characteristics that make it different from other gardening services. These characteristics affect the type of service you want to provide, the category of customers you target, and the amount of money you charge. So let's start with some of the key things to keep in mind before you start a gardening business. First, it's a business that requires quite a bit of physical labor and dirt. Running a garden center requires you to carry heavy loads, dig, prune, clean, and stand or bend over for long hours. While this is great for your health, it can be very tiring and cause physical strain. You also need to touch and have a thorough knowledge of organic materials, products, pesticides, etc. So check with a doctor before starting. Another challenge you'll face is that the gardening industry is a seasonal business. The amount of money you make depends a lot on the weather and time of year. Gardening centers have a peak business during the summer months, and business will slow down if you live in a seasonal climate. Starting a gardening business also requires that you have specialized knowledge. Customers expect you to know what type of plants grow fastest or best in what areas. If you find yourself dealing with a clientele with large landscape areas and an interest in exotic plants, the expectation may be even higher. So, what exactly are the steps necessary for opening a garden center business? Let's dive now into 9 steps to get started. Before starting any business, it's essential to conduct market research to ensure demand for your niche and analyze competition. Markets research will allow you to develop a business plan, know your target audience and your competitors, set a fair price for your products and services, implement a marketing strategy to reach more customers, and offer different services to meet customers' needs. The business plan for your garden business should include an executive summary of the company, your goals, visions, and values for the business, your target market and the type of service you plan to offer, initial setup costs and sales projections, all equipment required, your expected number of staff, including their experience and qualifications, and a detailed marketing strategy and sales pricing. Second, set up the legal structure of your business. You cannot provide services or products as a business without having done so. You must decide whether you want to establish yourself as a sole proprietor, partnership, or limited liability company. In addition, you'll need to consider trademarking your business. Trademarking your business will help you avoid legal battles down the road. To ensure that your business name is not yet chosen, visit the USPTO website. After choosing a name for your business, it's time to get an employee identification number, or EIN. This number is sort of a social security number for your company. You can get it in a few minutes from the IRS, and the whole application process is done online. This EIN will be useful in opening business accounts and for receiving tax benefits for business expenses. Third, get a proper business license. Obtaining a business license is important to conduct your business legally. Licenses and permits depend on your state, municipality, or county. Most states will require a business license no matter what you sell or how you sell it, but it's a relatively simple process. The fee to obtain a business license can range from $15 to over $1,000 per year, depending on the type of business you have and the state in which you operate. To start a gardening center business, likely business license you'll need to have is the general business license. If you plan to have a brick and mortar store, you'll also need zoning and sign permits. There are no qualifications required to start a gardening center. However, if you don't have much experience behind you, investing in relevant training before you start is a good idea. Most of your customers will expect you to provide them with vast knowledge on when to plant, how to water, how to fertilize, what to prune, and a whole lot more. In addition to having licenses, you'll also need business insurance. This insurance protects you if you injure a member of the public or damage their property. It's also worth keeping in mind that you are legally obligated to cover all of your employees, even if they're only temporary, with employer's liability insurance and workers' compensation insurance. Fifth, starting a gardening business requires specialized tools and transportation. The tools you need will depend on the services you wish to offer to customers. However, some essential tools are necessary. You'll likely need basic gardening tools, wheelbarrows, forklifts, trucks, and delivery vehicles. You may also need to use more advanced machinery such as concrete mixers, angle grinders, and chainsaws. If you don't have a large budget, it's advisable to rent or finance your equipment. However, as your business grows, it's probably best to buy most tools and equipment outright. Sixth, get started with your website, content marketing, and SEO. Creating a website is a must for the success of any retail gardening business. People are more and more inclined to look for products and services on the internet and expect to find all the information they need there. Therefore, try to position yourself well on Google by bringing more organic traffic to your website. Also, in the case of garden centers, it's important to focus on local SEO. Seventh, start planning your business financing. Just like any business, you need money to start. However, to start a gardening business, you don't necessarily need big money. The minimum startup costs for small retail garden businesses are actually only estimated to be around $5,000. The average cost is about $25,000, while higher end costs go north of $50,000. Eighth, time to start your marketing. Most of your potential customers are now likely to search for home and garden products directly on Google and online marketplaces. Therefore, it's essential that you leverage these channels to promote your business. Successful home and garden retailers promote their catalogs through Google, advertise on marketplaces, and create product announcements on social media. All of these online platforms are popular and will get you a significant amount of traffic, thereby allowing you to reach a much larger audience. You should also take advantage of social media. Much like many industries these days, aesthetics are key, and that applies most to social media advertising. With TikTok, you can make short videos about some of your decorating and work. These videos can have thousands or even millions of views, potentially giving your business vast exposure. It's also important to build a great website. Make that first experience on your site as pleasant as possible. There are endless ways to do this. Make your site easy to navigate, use attractive photos, write clear and detailed product descriptions, provide information about your shipping and return policy, feature reviews from past customers, and offer top-notch customer service. An omnichannel approach to your retailing is also critical. One of the many changes that COVID-19 precipitated in retail is buying online, picking up in store, or BOPIS. Also known as click and collect, this has become an absolute must for contactless retailing and is a good solution for consumers who are inclined to shop online but prefer to pick up their order in store to avoid any potential problems with sometimes unreliable delivery companies. However, if your goal is to attract more customers to your physical stores, you'll need to invest in local inventory ads to increase web traffic. Finally, leverage email marketing to reduce your abandoned cart rates. Just because a customer puts special plants in their shopping cart doesn't mean they will necessarily purchase them. The global average shopping cart abandonment rate across all devices is 75.6%. This rate is 10 percentage points higher on mobile, implying that many businesses are not optimized for mobile selling. Lastly, it's time to get your POS system. As your business grows, the need will arise to automate certain operations of your business. Inventory management will become more complicated to handle as orders increase. And one of the things you want to avoid is running out of a given product while demand is rising. You also need a device that accepts modern payments and facilitates a fast and seamless checkout. Moreover, you'll need a system that provides inventory management, produces product reports, aids in product ordering, manages your team, and so much more. Corona POS is designed for any retail type of business, including garden centers. Get in touch with us for a free trial and product demo to see how it actually works. And for more retail advice, don't forget to subscribe to our blog and channel. Thanks for watching.